Welcome my friends to a new episode of the Hero Wars Jungle. Keira, Dorian and Fafnir. Thanks to Fafnir's introduction do we get many ways to build more great setups, like this one. Especially against many magical teams, you can just use this trio without any assist. It's literally a cheap combo. What is the synergy and why it's so strong? Let's look for this at Keira in detail. Keira is the Blade Master and has a unique skill. Her basic attack hits all enemies in her attack direction, and her blade flies from enemy to enemy. Only the first target gets the full damage and the rest only 25%. Here do we see how it works. Astaroth gets the full damage and all other heroes 14k. Okay, Krista is an exception because of Astaroth's transfer skill. So we have a lot of hits with one single attack. And we find here even some white numbers too. It's pure damage. And it's her violet skill. If she penetrates the armor completely, she does extra pure damage. And as you might have guessed, she is the one with the highest penetration value of the game, and this pure damage scales up with physical attack buffs. Not much, but better than nothing. Now to her ultimate. It looks like the blade of a blender, and it flies to the furthest enemy and hits all enemies. On the way back it hits all enemies again and silences them additionally. That's a symbol for silence, and especially against magical heroes very strong. Here do we see how it flies to Faceless, and everyone gets some damage. The damage is not really high, but it hits them twice. And now the interesting part begins. With the silence, all magical heroes can't use their ultimate. And even Astaroth, a strength-based hero, can't use it, which is perfect for Keira. Everyone is blocked and she finished them off easily. So the silence is a big advantage, but it's even stronger. For example, Lars. He has a blue and green skill, which are essential for him. He can't use them while he's silenced. Zisha has a powerful magical basic attack, Block 2. If you are wondering why your heroes don't attack sometimes, perhaps of that. Watch closer at Zisha. We see always her hand glowing when she starts using her basic attack. That's the moment she wants to use her basic attack, but the silence interrupts her immediately, and she can't do anything now. Celeste has a similar basic attack. Let's find out if she gets affected too. She is silenced, but watch closer at her. She starts her basic attack. Funny. Celeste's basic attack doesn't care about it, but all ultimates are blocked. So we have not a clear description which skills are really affected by this silence. And the next example shows it clearly. Kark is a physical hero, I would guess. He doesn't care about silence. That's the moment he could start using his ultimate, but the silence blocks him too. Crazy. Keira's ultimate is not that perfect like it looks. Where death is, are also bugs. Let's watch at this example. Keira is a little bit under pressure, but she can use in the last moment her ultimate for the win. Lilith is here the furthest enemy, but it stops at Cleaver and comes already back.
What the?
We see even the silence at him. What happened here? In the normal case it works fine, even if she turns around. she hits the right target, so what is the real reason? I noticed it happens in the most cases against Morrigan, and here do we see why. The spawned skeleton stands literally in Keira. That causes the wrong distance calculation, and it hurts sometimes really. But her ultimate has another weak point. It takes really long until she's ready to use it, and that causes the next often seen bug. All energy is consumed. Or she gets interrupted and starts endless her ultimate until she dies. If you play Keira, you know how annoying it can be. In the war mode it looks completely different. If Keira uses her ultimate, the time stops until she is finished. And especially against Corvus do we see her amazing power in that mode. Last but not least, her green skill. She increases her speed dramatically for 5 seconds. Her normal basic attack is not that fast and impressive. But when she activates her green skill, she shoots one blade after the other. And she uses the skill often. In the skill description do we find the wording attack and skill speed. But that's not true. Her movement is increased too. Look closer at Keira. She uses her speed skill and moves now like on drugs. Now to Fafnir. His blue skill increases the attack of one chosen ally. If we use only Keira as agility hero, she gets it always. And this skill has a big synergy effect with her dancing blades ability. Fafnir's skill is very special and adds the damage after the 25% calculation, which means every hit gets now the additional damage. All heroes except Ziri get a 14k hit without any buffs. Keira receives now Fafnir's word buff and we see suddenly a 3 times bigger hit on each enemy behind the tank. It's a big deal for Keira to apply Fafnir's extra damage to all enemies. The more hits, the more damage will be applied. And that's not enough. The timing between Keira's green skill and Fafnir's word buff is nearly perfect. With that overlapping buffs, she mutates to a real weapon and you have to stop her or she will destroy you. Perhaps you have seen it already. We have the same synergy effect with her ultimate. And because of the double hit on each enemy, Fafnir's additional damage will be applied twice. Here do we see perfectly the difference. Fafnir is just forging the sword, so this damage is without buff. And on the way back, nearly double damage. With a time-stopping advantage, it's just overpowered. And Fafnir has an ultimate too. When he uses it, he provides for the whole team this word buff. The text is a little bit wrong, it's just an additional sword buff. That means Keira can get a double sword buff. It happens not so often, but if the timing is right, her damage increases a lot. We see Fafnir is just forging his normal sword buff, and right after that he uses his ultimate. Now Keira is double buffed. Over 200,000. And Lilith gets a reduced hit with 150k. Very nice, and that's into a speed buff. His green skill is very good too. He forges a shield for Keira, which has an anti-die protection. Before Fafnir's introduction, you could one-shot Keira pretty easily with Zisha. But thanks to his shield, she is able to survive it, and once it's triggered, all damage go into his shield at this point. And we see the block text. This turns the game around and we see a double buffed ultimate in action. Also the outspreaded shield effect. Keep in mind, even with full health, the shield will be consumed at first. One really important point is Fafnir's skills are dependent on physical attack. The more physical attack buffs, the more damage and protection you will gain. Another great synergy effect has Fafnir's violet skill with Keira's amazing armor penetration value and her dancing blades ability. It's just a second and has a 8 seconds cooldown, but it can be very strong and annoying. It interrupts directly at the start some basic attacks. And we see here the left Keira is using her speed up. The right will use it a little bit later, but gets perfectly interrupted. So we have a lot of great synergy effects between Keira and Fafnir. Dorian. He plays a big role in that setup, but mostly because of his violet ability. This aura helps Keira to heal herself with damage. So, very great. The aura is often hard to see. It's this red cycle around the hero. It depends on Dorian's position. Keira can now heal herself easily. But don't forget, she gets stunned if the hit is over 20% of her max life. It's a great move to use only 3 heroes. You can save literally some money. Dorian has another healing ability. He sacrifices his own life and heals the lowest health ally. It's a nice addition to his aura, and especially Fafnir benefits by it. He doesn't do any damage, which means he can't heal himself. By the way, the sacrificed life counts as lost life, and he gets also the energy. So using one skill and getting 30% energy is not bad. What can we do with this energy? Of course, using our ultimate. He marks the nearest enemy and it works similar to his aura. Every ally has now the chance to heal himself with damage. And the best is, his artifact weapon provides physical attack, which increases Fafnir's skills too. Here do we have an example of Dorian's mark. He uses it on Luther. Even if Keira is not in Dorian's aura, you can heal yourself. Let's talk about the team setups. It works already pretty well in that constellation, so let's look when we can use only 3 heroes. You have to watch out mainly for 2 things. Do you get one big hit per round, like Zisha, and have your enemies problems with silence, like everyone here. Especially teams with Celeste are a great chance for this trick. Be carefully with more than one big basic attack. Keep always in mind Keira's long casting time and the 20% hit stun. Thanks to Kark's and Astaroth's silence weakness, it's even possible to go against them in the trio variant. One big problem of that combo is the positioning. The place between Dorian and Keira can't be used because Keira drops out of Dorian's aura. And we have here 26 heroes, so we have very limited options in the combination. A nice addition is, for example, Lilith. She has no real synergy effect, but she gets Dorian's aura too, and she attacks the middle. She has also no problems with high armored heroes. It's a great mix of physical and magical damage. Another interesting addition is the Crazy Bird Jet. He allows Keira now to get critical hits. The great thing is, it's always active as long Jet is alive, and the crit doubles also Fafnir's buff at the end. Plus, he provides for Keira some extra healing, additional speed and a physical attack boost. Another great option is to use two tanks. Cleaver is one of the best all-rounder tanks in my opinion, and Andvari fits pretty well too, for the defense not bad. Andvari's green skill helps to block Kark and other displacement effects like Last Tornado. He finishes off sometimes your enemies, and his stuns are annoying too. Keira has often the problem to face many armor buffs. Tristan is the perfect solution for this. It works similar to the Artemis combo. He provides many armor penetration buffs and he has a great synergy effect with Fafnir. His Violet skill allows him to gain many energy which causes perfectly his early penetration buffs. It's very hard to protect your team then. He cancels the armor buff and Keira can do her job. Just a quick tip and trick if you are playing against Corvus. You will love to fight now against Corvus teams, but Nexta's built again a little trap you have to know. In the arena or training do we have a different game mode than in the real wars. Corvus Altar allows Keira to use her ultimate into a Fafnir's buff. We get here great results and easy wins. But in the war mode it's a little bit tricky. The time stops and Keira can finish her ultimate before Fafnir can apply his sword buff. The damage output is now different and we see only at Lilith the higher damage. That causes often a completely different fight. But Andvari did luckily a perfect job. What can we do? We have here the auto mode button. Switch it off and wait for Fafnir's buff. Especially if Keira is in second position, do we see the big delay. But with the manipulation it looks perfectly again. Let's talk about how to counter this trio. A great choice is Luther. He jumps perfectly between Keira and Dorian and pushes her out of his aura. Look closer at Keira. She has lost Dorian's aura and attacks in the wrong direction. At this point she could heal herself easily, but Dorian died at a bad position and that's the end for her. The next interesting counter is Ziri. With her 40,000 armor, a big problem for Keira, plus her ultimate, which increases the amount of her armor dramatically. And that's not all. Her ultimate taunts all enemies and forces them to attack her. Ziri is not a classic counter, she's more a problem in defense for Keira. That's the moment. She increased her armor now to about 180,000. And Keira's ultimate stops at her. And Ziri can protect her teammates. Keira's basic attack is not affected by it, and Ziri uses her ultimate not really often. But she times her out pretty well.
And why do you say she's a counter?
I figured out she has another, let's call it behavior, which is probably not really known. The whole team except Ziri is down, and look what she does. She uses her ultimate and taunts everyone. Fafnir is forging the sword buff for Keira. Okay, and now she taunts it away. Even his ultimate. During the taunt, nobody except Fafnir gets the buffs. That's amazing. No shield, no sword. Also the stun will only hit Ziri, if we would have some teammates alive. A better counter are the Mystics with Satori and January with Lian. Lian has a charm ability, and because of Keira's dancing blade skill, she hits her nearly always. It helps especially to stop Keira's speed up, but we need Satori's ultimate to finish off Keira completely. Look at Keira, she gets always charmed after her basic attack. Nevertheless, she hits Satori and he gains the lost life energy. With 5 marks, no chance to survive it. But be carefully, it's not a bad idea to use Andvari in the Mystic team. He attacks the lowest life hero, and that's generally Keira. Even 4 Mystics are not enough. Keira survived it. I've counted Fafnir's shield buffs. The shield capacity is about 160,000. The next counter are the Chaotix. Jorgen is here a necessary part. Keira's basic attack has also the disadvantage to load your enemies faster. Jorgen has a great synergy effect with Zisha and Lilith, but the timing is important. Keira allows them exactly this. Boom! In this case, Jorgen one-shots suddenly Keira, but Fafnir rescues her undead butt, and Lilith hits perfectly into her. Again, be carefully with it. In the Guild War the time is a little bit different, and like I said, this combo needs a perfect timing. Jorgen was not buffed by Zisha and did not enough damage. Right after it we see Zisha's buff, so the time stop is not always good. Luckily we have an easy solution for it. You have here a button and you can switch off the auto mode. No panic, just wait for the moment when Jorgen is ready to use his ultimate and has Zisha's buff active. Hit the auto button and then relax. The better Fafnir team is still with Artemis, so you can use it to counter this team easily. Additionally, Artemis has a blind, which is a soft counter to all physical teams. Her ultimate hits the same target multiple times, and it's easy for her to break Fafnir's shield. Now let's talk about how to counter the counter. Luther is a big problem, but Andvari is a great choice to counter the Luther counter. His green skill protects your Keira and Dorian from displacement effects. Luther pushes normally the heroes away, but the roots are growing and they hold your heroes at that position. Keira stays in Dorian's aura, perfect. It helps also against Kark and Kai teams. Because of the limited team setups, we have not so many options. But Rufus can be really helpful against many magical combos. He can't die by magical hits and provides a big shield which absorbs magic hits too. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Peace.